Uh,
Dog, I gotta. Where did I put my remote?
I got
Oh,
mine.
there you go. It's on the other side of the table over here. That's all. I just gotta reach for it. Um, Hi guys. Let me see if I wave if it does something. Damn, you put the hand up. It don't do nothing. Do like, hey, we get the thumbs up.
And watch me search this way. I got it. Not it.
It's just us playing around with the little features and stuff and whatnot. It's
I ain't gonna lie, nigga.
Keys.
Nigga
It's
been drinking, so
Jermaine.
this about to be fun.
Huh?
I've been
Oh,
drinking, so
oh
this about to be fun.
boy. Oh boy.
Last one of the year, man.
Oh boy.
Lucky 13.
Oh,
Lucky
you know
episode
what it
13.
is? Last one of the year and Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
Right. Right. So you know what? We're gonna kick it off right. Hello, YouTube. We do not own the rights to this music because we get
We
this
do
off
not.
your website.
But shout out to the Swisher House boys.
Now look who creeping, look who crawling, still ballin' in the mix. It's that 6'6" long dick, slim nigga sticking your chick, pulling tricks, looking slick at all times when I'm flipping, bar sipping, car dipping, Grantwood grain gripping, still tipping on fofos,
Blowing on that endo, GameCube Nintendo,
5% tint, so you can't see up in my window. These niggas don't understand me, cause I'm boss hog on candy. Top down at Maxis with a big Glock 9 handy. Pieced up, creased up, stand dressed to impress. Big boss belt buckle under my Michelin S. Oh, whoa. Gucci shades up on my braids when I escalade. When I'm riding spree wheel sliding like a escapade. I got it made, the big boss of the North. Ain't shit changed, I still represent Swisher House. Huh?
Man, you know what's crazy about this?
I should have just told you just ride with the Paul Wall verse first. Hey, that whole song is my shit.
Nah, we're gonna let this one ride under the first part of the show though. This song's so cold. But like, what's funny is I'm looking at the video because of course we on YouTube. I'm watching on YouTube. You know, make sure we stay all straight with the licensing and all that good stuff.
Of course.
And Slim Thug got the long braids, fresh
he got
face, and a little pencil mustache.
My man got the fade down.
Look, this 20 years later, after this song was dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
He baldy. He looked like me. Beard,
oh yeah, he do got the baldy.
Baldy, you know what I'm saying? He's total opposite. Total opposite. Feel me? So it's kind of crazy sometimes when you be looking at stuff like this, like back in the day, do you look at it now? And I'm like, damn, like, bro, that's crazy. Like, for example, I was watching WrestleMania 19, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, not long ago, right? Mind you, I'm looking at Jericho on AEW and the way he look now, where he looks like someone's like, you know, aunt who's having like one of them late life crises or something. You know, sometimes Jericho be looking a little crazy. And then I look at Jericho back then, I'm like, damn, like dude was put together, you know. But you just and Shawn Michaels though. You look at Shawn Michaels now from back then, bruh.
Michael Watts, he made me hot. Hard work to me to the top. Cheat ass to me to the lot. He wrote a check and bought a drop. I got the internet going nuts. But T-Ferris got my back.
Bruh.
So now I'm home. Wow. What you know about me? I'm on that 5'9" South Beat, baby. Holla at me.
It's the only time the country in me come out.
Man, it's a classic right there. That song always gonna jam.
Always
gonna jam. But here we are, last episode of the year, Lucky 13, and we got some stuff to talk about, my boy. We got some stuff to talk about.
A lot has been going on, man. NFL, NBA. I ain't paid attention to hockey too much.
Right.
Uh,
Like it
Soccer's
is,
been wild. It's a lot.
bro. It's been there's boxing. Like there's
Big
just
fight, big fight weekend, big heavyweights.
bro. There's just a little bit of everything. Like we got a little hodgepodge of stuff. Um, but yeah, like welcome in Sucio Sports, episode number 13, Lucky
Lucky
13.
13, man.
Lucky 13. My hometown in the 13th in New Orleans, uptown, Valley Street, Chestnut, represent.
You already
But
know.
but no, like it's been crazy. Like just this whole football season, and we were saying like episodes ago, like man, there's been a crazy like first 4, 5, 6 games. It's been a crazy like halfway point. Now we going into week 17 and we still saying the same shit. This has been a crazy NFL season.
26 teams are still Super Bowl eligible right now. 26.
Bruh.
The most, if I remember correctly, the most since 2004.
I believe that's right.
26.
And wait, this is what really like gets me about all of this. Everybody keeps saying, I'm tired of the same teams winning. I'm tired of the same teams winning. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the same teams winning. I'm tired of the same teams winning. And then when you get all these different teams, now they're like, well, there's no really good teams. Everybody's just kind of mid. Everybody's just kind of mid. No, this is what parity looks like. This is what it looks like when you kind of level the playing field and your biggest money makers, your teams with the biggest budgets and whatnot can't outspend the smaller market teams. This is what happens when you have a draft system in place where the worst teams get to pick the best players first. You know, this is what happens when you have, you know, a system where the teams who don't spend money and save money can spend money big on free agents when these guys come available. So this is the league as the way the rules are intended for it to be played, and this is how it's playing out. I don't understand why people would be upset about seeing it like this.
Right.
But we had some really good matchups.
I like it though. Week. I like the parity though, because you don't know as of right now, to be completely honest, we can say most people are probably going to say, ooh, excuse me, even after the game this weekend, it's still looking like Ravens 49ers Super Bowl. That's even after the thrashing. Majority from what I've seen is still saying that that's going to be the Super Bowl rematch in a few weeks or a month or so. I could almost agree with that, but I've seen the Giants team crawl into the playoffs before, barely make it, and get to the Super Bowl at 9-7. So I think the way the playoffs go, you got to look at who's getting hot at the end of the season, who's been consistent, and it's going to be different. I don't think you're going to see. I definitely in the AFC wise, you're not going to see the Chiefs. You're not.
You don't think the Chiefs make it that far?
Chiefs do not. Chiefs have way too many holes, and I think they realize they have too many holes. But we talked about that at the beginning of the season, amongst us, and episode 1, I stated the Chiefs had a very hard road. AFC is stacked. As we see, the Ravens look like the best team in football, not just the AFC. They did just knock off the number 1 team in the NFC pretty convincingly at that.
Oh, what up, Kyle? Yeah,
why?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Like I'm sitting here, like trying to pay attention to you, and I'm like,
you know what's crazy?
Who is this?
You know what's crazy? I should have known that was Kyle. It makes sense. Anyway, back to the show.
It does, but like you were saying, like their holes are. They have way too many mental mistakes and mental breakdowns that cost them games, especially coming from their wide receivers.
Yeah, and wide receivers haven't shown up this entire second half of the season.
Right.
From that Eagle game on, and a little bit before that, but especially since that Monday night game with the Eagles,
Eagles. Chiefs wide receivers have been non-existent. I'll say Travis Kelce has disappeared since we all found out about who he's dating. And it's so crazy that you say it that way, but
he had like a game or so where he was pretty good, and then he just
he hasn't had a touchdown since.
Yeah,
he hasn't. I don't think he's had a touchdown in like 5 or 6 games, something like that. Maybe 4 or 5, something like that though. So ever since it got like serious, and the media really started harking in on the whole Kelce and Swift thing, like.
I'm going to say it goes back to, if I'm not mistaken, he took a trip to see her concert in Brazil or something.
Yep.
I gotta check the date of when that supposedly happened, but I'm almost certain his dip in play and production coincides with that trip to Brazil. I'm almost certain. I can't be for sure, but I'm almost certain. But when we're looking at the AFC, the Ravens have clearly established themselves as the going away, like we're number one. It's going to take somebody to knock us off. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And to dethrone us. But right now, we're him as a collective.
They are.
The Dolphins they got some chinks in their armor as well. They're kind of banged up.
I think that's still going to be the AFC Championship game.
The Ravens, Dolphins?
I think so. I like the Bills. The Bills are starting to click again.
They are.
They're clicking again. They're turning it on at the right time. That week, I always say with 18 now, it's key. Week 14 to 18 is always key.
Yes.
Those last 4 to 5 games are definitely key, and the Bills are definitely turning it on at the right time. I would say AFC wise, those are the 3 to me. Again, Chiefs maybe at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is just there, like just to get beat up on. To be honest, anybody else who makes the playoffs outside of those 4, is pretty much just there just to get fed to the wolf. So
and right now in the AFC, I'll go over it real quick at a glance for everybody. We're looking at Ravens with the 1 seed. They would have a bye. If playoffs started right now, it would be the Dolphins hosting the Colts. The Chiefs would host the Bills. That would be very interesting for obvious reasons.
I like
and
that.
The Jags would host the Browns as of right now.
I like that too, because that's more of a. I think the Jags should win that easily. But the Browns have not looked too bad with who they got at quarterback right now. So
yeah,
I
Flacco's been lighting it up, and I'm not gonna lie. I kind of seeing it up close in person this weekend, because I covered the Texans Brown game this weekend, but watching it from afar is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing it up close in person was different. The only thing that I say about his performance this past weekend was that the Texans were missing a lot of their defensive firepower, either to start the game or during that game. Because Jimmy Ward went out. Jalen Petrie had some brain farts and got taken out of the game, evidently. And, it was a lot going on. D'Amico even said it in his post-game press conference that they don't move Stingley around. They don't move their corners around. They kind of play them where they play them, whether they play in man or zone. They just play them on their side of the field. So there were some adjustments that probably should have been made. It just didn't get made. But I say all that to say, like, Flacco has found something that works for him in that offense. And he knows how to take advantage of it. And he's not going to be that guy that's going to always force something somewhere and is going to cost you a game. He's that guy that's going to play well enough to, keep you in a game, maybe win you a game if you get some different type of performances from the other team, which they got some favorable matchups and some bad routes and whatnot, and took advantage of some blown coverages and whatnot against the Texans. And That's exactly how it went down.
And looking at that AFC South picture, it's real tight. 8-7 for the top three teams. Well, the three teams: Jaguars, Colts, Texans. These
Yes,
last 2 weeks are going to be very key for all three of them.
big
Texans
time.
have a chance to still slide in, especially with picking up Kareem Jackson from the Broncos at safety yesterday. Very dope key pickup for them.
Well, see, here's one thing that I will point out for them about the whole Jalen Petrie thing. Um, on that go route up the left sideline, in front of their own sideline, for Amari Cooper. Um,
Amari had an amazing day.
what up,
Oh my
Dre?
god.
I
Oh
see
my
your stuff.
god.
I'm gonna get to your comments in a second, Dre. But what happened was I'll give credit to where credit's due. Clint, I think it was Clint, yeah, Clint Sterner here on Sports Radio 610 here in Houston. He pointed it out. I kind of saw it, but I don't remember it until I went back and watched the replay of the touchdown, and that's when I saw it. But he pointed it out that Petrie, I believe, was supposed to play single high safety on that play. There was a deep dig or in route to break into the middle of the field by Njoku that he jumped on that he shouldn't have. He's supposed to stay up high, and if that play develops in front of him, keep it in front of him. That way he can help out on either sideline. He bit on that deep dig, that deep in breaking route by Njoku, and left. Believe it was Thomas. I can't remember the guy's name, but he left that corner 1-on-1 with Cooper on that sideline. There was no
Mhm.
help over the top, and had he been there, if he didn't make the interception, force the breakup or something like that, he could have at least gotten over to make the tackle and not have a touchdown being scored right there. So it was some time after that play, they believe, is when D'Amico decided to sit Petrie. But having Kareem back there, Kareem isn't as much of a cover guy as he used to be, even though I know he came into the league as a corner, first round draft pick by the Texans. But
Yep.
he's been suspended lately for being more of a headhunter. And honestly, sometimes having a guy back there that has some coverage skills is kind of fading a little bit, but knowing that he may knock your head off too, that makes receivers reconsider a lot of shit. They make
It
business
does.
decisions when going across the middle.
Because they know he gonna lay that boom.
Bro, like
And we see
when
what happened with AB when somebody lays the boom.
that's bro, we keep talking about it all the time. Like and I got a good buddy of mine that I always talk football with. Stanford, we got to get you on the show, bro. Like I know we texted about it, we talked about it or whatever, but I got to get you on the show. But he and I talked about it, and like he used to say, like as a corner, when you know you have that kind of help over the top or wherever that help is coming from, you know you can shade that receiver there, and he's gonna get alligator arms going for the ball because he knows help is coming. Help is really coming in the form of, you know what, maybe it's best if I just let this one go because I'm trying to see, 50, 60 and still be able to walk and talk and have all my faculties about myself.
Exactly. I like for my brain to not get rattled and me not
Right.
to have applesauce for brains. Because coming
Right,
across that middle, man, I have personally felt it. Uh, it may
bro.
have been freshman year of high school, but still I felt it, and it made me stop playing football. Call me what you want, but I didn't
Look,
play another down after that hit.
the Dre
Focus on
says Kareem
basketball.
Jackson is last of a dying breed. Hard nosed football, hard knocks, big hits. Gonna miss him in Denver. I knew you would. I knew
And the
Denver
rules,
would.
man,
I knew
it's the
Denver would.
rules. The rules make it, and I've seen so many players, old and new, even say it though. The rules make it so hard for defensive players because we all watch football, we all watch the games. In
Mm-hmm.
that game speed, when you have a receiver or even a running back that catches and then they get low, you don't have enough time to try to get lower. So you end up catching them like in the head or something like that. Now you done got a penalty, or and especially when it happens so often. Now, like Kareem Jackson, or even like What's the Steelers player that got suspended too?
Oh,
I
oh
can't think of
gosh, I
his
can't
name.
remember his name. But yeah, it's
Same thing. Like you have a stigma around you now, and it's not your
mm-hmm,
fault when it's not a lot you can do in real game speed when that offensive player is getting low, and it's hard for you to try to get lower where you're not going to hurt yourself. In game speed again, it's hard to pull up and pull back and not get hit or not,
right.
hurt yourself or somebody else. So I don't know. I miss old football though, man. I do.
Man,
I
the
miss
thing
the
is, like, I
and I get it.
I
I
got
definitely get it for safety reasons.
right, and I love that about the league that the Demonte Kazee. It was that play against the Colts. I had to look it up because I knew his name was like hard to pronounce or whatever. So that's why I wanted to make sure I didn't want to butcher his
Okay.
name or nothing like that because my name is Jermaine. And I'd be pissed when people call me Jeremy, Jeremiah, and like Jeremy, Jerome. Like, how the
Let me
fuck
tell you
do you
something.
see Jermaine and call me all that other shit? Like,
I get
please don't
so
do
many
that.
different variations of Deshaun,
Oh my god.
but I get everything but Deshaun. That'd be the wild shit. Like it's spelled Deshaun. It's spelled clear as day, but
Right.
they call me everything but that. James
It-
Harrison used to get penalized a lot too for his hits. He did. James
yeah.
Harrison was a fucking dog.
Him recently what's his name? Vontez Burfict famously on AB in the playoffs for the Bengals.
Yeah,
Vontez used to get fined all the time.
all the time.
But like
Dogs. They were
I'm
dogs though.
I grew up watching guys like Ronnie Lott and Steve Atwater and John Lynch, and Chris Dishman and those guys from that era, and they would lay you out and wouldn't care, and then that was just the way the game was played back then. And now it's like there's illegal contact. Like if I put my hands on you anywhere down the field more than 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, literally they can throw a flag and call a penalty. So it's like you can't touch a guy. But then on that play where Demonte Kazee got suspended, I believe it was Michael Pittman was like laying out for the ball,
I think it
and
was.
he kind of like lowered his shoulder and was just trying to hit him with his shoulder, and they end up like flagging him for a defenseless receiver and all that other kind of stuff. And it's just like, bro, like if, bro, I put it to you like this: if an offensive player is contorting himself and moving himself in a certain manner, and a defensive player has already taken a certain position and an angle point at him, like he shouldn't get penalized for a heat of the moment type of play. Like there should be like if you penalize him, okay, but like go and review that before you just throw him out of the game. And if you throw him
Exactly.
out of the game, someone else should be constantly reviewing that to say like, hey, did we make a mistake by throwing this guy out the game? You know,
And most of the time, if I'm correct, they do because they have the refs in New York that are always watching all the games. But
right?
a lot of times they get it wrong. They get it wrong a lot of times too. So
Yeah, because um there was even a play in the NBA recently where it was an out of bounds play, I believe, on the baseline, where a guy was straight up in bounds and they called him out. There was a play, I want to say, in a Texans game. Was this before Tank Dell was hurt? Or was it someone else? Anyway, but there was a play on the sideline where he was clearly in bounds. Refs called him out. But that's going back to like we've talked about before, where just the refs in football mainly this season so far. Not as much in basketball. It's kind of weird, but mainly in football, they've just been terrible. Bad calls and poor officiating and everything like all the way around in football. Dre says Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Sean Taylor, Brian Dawkins. Yeah, though all those guys would be
ooh,
they would
boy,
be
B dog,
heavily
B
flagged.
dog, boy,
Heavily flagged.
Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and B Dog alone. Oh
Bro,
my God.
Palomalu.
Troy, yep.
Palomalu.
Troy.
What? Bro. I mean, we talking about some of the all-time greats, and some of these guys we named are Hall of Famers and whatnot. I believe all these guys are Hall of Famers that he named. But the game is played differently now, and it's more about speed, athleticism, and especially change of direction. Because you don't even have to be very fast or very quick. If you can just change direction and flip those hips and whatnot and get back up to that top speed with your acceleration, like that means more than just straight line speed. Like if a guy has crazy change of direction, crazy fluidity in his hips, and he can, change speeds and get back up to speed quickly, that's more value than, okay, he ran a 4.2 in the 40. That 4.2 in the 40 only counts if you run in one route. If you're like a gunner on a punt return team or something like that, a punt coverage team, I'm sorry, or kick coverage team, that's the only time straight line speed helps you in the NFL.
Yep.
Outside of that, it's more about everything else outside of that straight line speed. So it is what it is. Going over the NFC playoff picture right quick, since we went over the AFC. Over in the NFC.
A little more interesting on the NFC side right now.
It's crazy because we legit got 4 teams with a shot at the number 1 seed.
So
one of those 4 teams is actually the 5 seed in the Cowboys because they're not leading the division. So if the playoffs started today in the NFC, real quick, just to go over this so we can get into it right quick, is the 49ers would have the bye. Eagles would host the Seahawks. And
I like the rematch.
I was waiting for my son to come down here, but let me text him again.
Tell him let's talk about this. Tell him let's talk about this.
I forgot to text him earlier, but we'd have the Eagles.
I reposted something earlier that had like I got to look at what page I reposted it on, but it had showed like the scenarios for the Eagles to get the number 1. I think I reposted it on our Sucio page. Let me go switch. But it was like a easy scenario, pretty much. It was basically like the Eagles have to win out their last 2 games against the Cardinals and then Giants again. Cowboys have to beat the Lions. And the 49ers have to lose one of the last 2 games, I believe it was.
It's kind of there's but the thing is like we have, let me finish going over that while you look that up right quick. Okay, we got 49ers with the bye, Eagles hosting the Seahawks. We'd have the Lions hosting the Rams, which would be a huge revenge game for Jared Goff. And we would have the Bucks hosting the Cowboys, which to me personally, that is one of the more interesting first round matchups. Is that Bucks hosting the Cowboys? Because the Bucks are the tallest little person in the NFC South, basically. Because all of those teams are terrible. They just happen to be the best of the most terrible. Then you got the Cowboys, who are legit like a game or 2 out of being the number 1 seed in the whole NFC, but they're the 5th seed because they're still behind the Eagles. And they're terrible on the road.
Horrible on the road.
So and on top of them being on the road, they're playing on the road outside on grass. To add to all of that. Like, so we're just piling one thing on top of the next, on top of the next, on top of the next. And it's like this shitty lasagna for the Cowboys to have to go on the road in the first round and play Tampa. The other really interesting matchup in that first round. Well, I mean, all 3 of the first round matchups are interesting with the Eagles and the Seahawks. And then you got the Lions would be hosting the Rams. Right.
That Lions Rams is just dope because they literally traded quarterbacks.
Exactly
in a couple of years.
Exactly.
We got one quarterback goes to the Rams, wins the Super Bowl. We got the other one now with the Lions at the 3rd best team in the NFC now, which is crazy. And they have a chance to like Goff has a chance to like show the Rams like, hey, you should have stuck with me,
bro. And not wait. The Lions just won a division for the first time in literally 30 years. It's not even. It's been since
Since
1993.
Barry. I'm about to say since Barry.
They've never won the NFC North. That's how long it's been since the Lions have won a division that the
It's
NFL has
literally
had realignment, and it's named a whole new division that they're in right now.
it's literally been Green Bay, Minnesota, Bears for 30 years.
For
Flip
30
flopping.
years.
Green Bay
Yeah,
for the most part,
yeah.
but Minnesota for a long time with Dante Culpepper and Randy
hmm
Moss up there. Then the Bears had it for a
You
good little
had
minute.
Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, Dante Culpepper up there.
Yep.
Then you also had a couple years with the Bears with Sexy Rexy taking them to a Super
Oh
Bowl
yeah,
with
yeah.
that defense and Erlacher and all of them and Devin
Woo.
Hester.
That defense was amazing.
Nasty, nasty.
Amazing.
Peanut Tillman, Lance Briggs, all
Man,
those guys.
they linebacker core was
Right, it
crazy.
was stupid. They
Crazy
had at
scary.
one point. Who was there? There was another linebacker there,
It was a
and
middle linebacker. No, it was another
it was
right.
another outside linebacker. I want to
Yeah.
say
Urlacher was in the middle. Briggs was on one side, and it was
I can't remember the other guy's name, but
uh,
they were literally talking about them being in competition with the guys that the Ravens had when they had Ray Lewis, Peter Bolware,
oh
Jamie
my god.
Sharper, and
Hmm.
it was somebody else because they ran that they ran two different versions. They had a 3-4 that they would run, but then they also had this 4-3 because they had the two big fat guys, Sam Adams and Tony Saragusa up the middle, and the
Yep. And D
linebackers would
tackle.
just roam free because you
You
had to
couldn't get
double
past them two
team.
fat niggas.
Yeah, you had to double team both of the tackles. Then you had McCrary on one side, and sometimes Bolware would rush on the other side. So it was like, who do we block? Who do we block? But there's just some really interesting matchups going on in the first round if the playoffs started today. Um, is there a team outside of the playoff picture right now, just on the outside looking in, that you think has a shot to make it into that top seven? Either conference,
NFC or AFC? Oh, either conference.
either one.
Let me see. Standing. The AFC. I think the AFC West is very interesting. Um, that AFC North. The fact that all four teams have winning records right now.
They are
Ravens
still pulling
in
it
the hunt,
together. They're
and
still
three of the
pulling it
four
together.
teams are on backup quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Some of them are on third string.
yeah,
Browns is on third string.
yeah.
Steelers are on third string.
No, actually, the Browns have
Bengals,
played four different quarterbacks this year.
is it four? Okay.
They've
So
played four. I think
and
I
they're in
just saw
10
that
and
stat.
5. 10
Yeah,
and 5 with
yeah.
four different bro.
Because they've
Who
had four
else?
different guys win a game for them this year.
I would say the Texans. If I'm looking at the AFC,
Mm-hmm.
I think the Texans, just because that Jaguars, Colts, Texans, that AFC South has been so up and down between the three of them. And like I
That's
said,
why I
I
didn't
like that.
say it yet. I wanted somebody
I
else to
like
say it.
the I like the Kareem again. As I said, I like the Kareem Jackson pickup for them on defense. It shows that they're trying to be serious these last 2 weeks and make that push to get in.
Right.
To try at least to control their own destiny by winning. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you win, it helps. If you lose, hands in the air, there's nothing you can do. You try it. On the NFC side, you said outside looking in, that possibly see Rams and the Colts are I mean Rams and Seahawks are in right now. I don't think anybody in the NFC North. I don't see Vikings, Packers, or Bears. I mean, well, yeah, even the Bears at 6-9. I would say it would have to be an NFC South team. And right now, the way everybody's playing down there, man,
Yeah, it's
I would say Saints. I would say Saints have the best chance of possibly sneaking in out of that outside looking in. I still don't believe in Ritter. I like the I ain't gonna say love. I really like the Falcons offense. I just don't think they have the right quarterback yet. And once they
Mm-hmm.
find the right quarterback with that offense,
Mm-hmm.
I think they can run the NFC South. I like them more than I like the Bucks. But I will say, as I said all year, it is looking like tentatively, let me use their words, tentatively, that Baker Mayfield is going to be back next year, which is great for him. Year two in that offense, 8-7 this year. I think, and we've talked about it privately, but that, and we'll, after we talk about this, we'll get into it a little more. But Mike Evans potentially, where he didn't resign, so he is going to be a free agent once the
Mm-hmm.
season is over.
Yep.
If they cannot convince him to stay, which I think at this point he wants to go to a contender. He smelled the Super Bowl. He wants to get back. This
Mm-hmm.
Bucks team may not be that team right now, but we've seen again Giants 9-7 have won Super Bowls. So hey, I think they got in at 8-8 one year and they won. So uh
The thing
they
is you have to get hot, and you said this earlier. You have to get hot at the right time.
14 to
If you
18 is
get hot
key
at the
right now.
right time, you can go forward and you can build something, and you can, it's just like in the NCAA tournament when it comes to basketball.
Them teams getting
And
hot at the end of the season going into the
right,
tournament
all
always
you need to do is win 6 straight and you win a
yep.
national title. You just need to go on a 6 game winning streak. It just
6.
so happens to be against the best competition you faced all season. But if you just focus on, we need to win 6 straight, 1 game at a time,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you can do. NFL playoffs, same thing. I need 3, 4 games, depending on where I'm at, where I'm slotted at. Do I have a bye or do I not? I need to go on a 4 game winning streak to close out my season, bring home a trophy. Let's take it 1 game at a time. Let's focus. And so when you have that mindset and you keep that like at the forefront of everything, that lets you know, like, okay, I can stay focused on our goal because we had a goal of, winning division, making the playoffs. Okay, now that we're in the playoffs, let's take it game by game, and you
And
break your goals down into smaller goals. And it's like, okay, smaller goals is week by week, play by play, series by series or whatever. Let's break this down and let's, take over.
and not just that, I had an old head tell me. I think I briefly talked about it, but I had ran into a old head Eagle fan at Little Caesars a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he broke it down to me because we were talking, and I was like, "Man, it's been a rough season." He said, "Yeah, but," he said, "you can't look at the past. You got to look at next week." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "You gotta, like you just said, you gotta take it a game at a time. You celebrate or you hawk on that win or loss, and by Tuesday going into Wednesday, it's a new week, and you focus on that new opponent. Because guess what? You're 0-0. You're not
Dude,
whatever
it's
you're not whatever your record is. You're 0-0 because it's a whole new week. It's a whole new game,
exactly.
and you got to look at it almost like you look at the playoffs. Because one
And
game and you out.
and the thing is like, I don't think people realize, like, they always want to look so far in the future. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, you can't be so far ahead of the game where you're looking at it and you're like, well, we need to do this and we need to do that and blah blah blah. Like, no. Like, you have to break it down. Like, who do you have this week? You can't be thinking about planning for the future when you're in a struggle to just barely make the playoffs. You have to exhaust all possibilities. The only teams who can afford to slip up at this time of the year are teams who have big leads. Like, let's say if there was a team that was like only had 1 loss right now, right?
They could afford to slip like a 2, maybe a 3 loss team.
Right. You got
But right
one or
now,
two losses.
even the top teams that are like us, for Eagles, 49ers, like those 11, you press that goddamn button, I swear to God.
Bro, I
11
don't
and
even have my
4.
hand on the button, bro. I'm looking at the
It was
damn
the,
standings.
it was the
I'm
way you
looking at the
looked over.
standings because the
It
Eagles
was the way
number
you
2
looked
right
over.
now.
Yeah. So a lot of those 11 and 4 teams, like in the NFC between what is it, the Eagles, 49ers, Dallas, and the Lions are all 11-4?
Uh,
Or is it
49ers,
just
Eagles, Lions 11-4. Cowboys are 10-5.
10-5? So even at 10-5 with them,
Mm-hmm.
these last 2 weeks are critical for everybody because nobody can afford to take a loss because they're going to slip between 1-5. That
Mm-hmm.
1-5 is, and honestly, the 4 is pretty much is the Bucks to. That's either going to be Bucks or Saints or Falcons. Like none of them are
It's
going to get there.
it's the tallest little person. I
Yeah.
like,
So
and I'm trust me, I'm not knocking little people or nothing like that. It's like the blackest, the darkest member of the family, or the lightest skinned member of the family, or the whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like at one point, I was the tallest person my little cousin knew until he went to a Tulane basketball game. He was like, "Man, I didn't know there was anybody taller than Jermaine that ever lived." Like that's just what it is.
excuse me. But yeah, any of those teams can slip from 1, 2, 3, and 5 right now. Like Dallas easily could move from 5 back up to 2 because of our division.
Yep.
Um 49ers and Lions can flip flop at any point. So like I said, those last 2 weeks are very critical for all four of those two teams, not two, all four of those teams going into the playoffs because at this point now, seeding is everything. Everybody wants that number one seed because everybody wants to be at home the entire way through. Especially a team like Dallas needs to be at home clearly all the way through because, or at least get into that two where they're
Mm-hmm.
hosting until they meet the number one team. So and the number two seed is just as key as the number one, if you want to be honest.
Yeah. Now the one thing, and I know that we got to get into it. It's not really like on field related, but it's kind of on field related, off field related. But the whole Russell Wilson saga that dropped today. So if you haven't heard the news, basically there was a difference of philosophy that came up, and Russ was approached about restructuring his contract. And the Broncos supposedly, allegedly, said that if you don't restructure your contract, like we're gonna sit you for the rest of the season, and we're gonna cut you after the season, and you're only gonna be left with this 80 some odd million that we have guaranteed. Because of the way his contract is structured, the reason why they were trying to sit him is so that they don't run the risk of him getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is he has 80 something million already guaranteed remaining on his contract, but it can be split up, right? Had he gotten hurt anytime this season, and he cannot pass that physical in March when he has to pass that physical for that trigger in his contract, it would trigger him to be guaranteed that full 30, that other 37 million almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He's already guaranteed 39. It would automatically guarantee another 37 right then and there at that time for that roster bonus or whatever you want to call it. So that's why the Broncos said, nah, we ain't even about to put ourselves in that situation. We want to be able to cut you after June 1st and be able to split this 80 or 70 some, 80 some million dollar cap hit over 2 seasons instead of having it hit on 1 season if we decide to cut you. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a background of an idea why they're wanting to move forward without Russ. They signed him to a horrible contract, and they were just trying to figure out how the hell can we get out of this situation and this contract as clean as possible. And that's why they're doing what they're doing, so that way they protect themselves from having to pay out all of that money right then and there up front in March, as opposed to stretching it out over 2 seasons. So they would have like a 39, 40 something million dollar cap hit 1 season, and then like another 30 something million dollar cap hit the following season. I believe that would be the largest dead money cap hit in NFL history. And it just goes to show you that regardless of the way his stats look this season, there evidently was some other things, playing out behind the scenes that
2 years in.
Exactly. The Broncos just were like, okay, you know what? It's time to shit or get off the pot. Yep. And basically they decided, you know what? We getting off the pot because we ain't shitting. So we just going to leave it how it is. And I get it. But at the same time, I believe someone brought this up earlier on the ESPN radio national broadcast. They said, some people think that Sean Payton may have taken that job wanting to make sure Russell Wilson was going to be there and was going to be signed, blah, 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 blah. But they brought up the fact that what if Sean Payton took that job and the assurances he got was, hey, if he's not my guy, are you okay with getting rid of this guy and taking this cap hit? Are you going to be willing to keep me beyond this season, so on and so forth? So that was one of the things that they raised as a question or a talking point earlier. And there's the other intern. Her team is fighting for the #1 pick, so she don't get to be on the pot. She ain't got no shit to talk about.
Is she a Panthers fan?
Cardinals.
Oh, they suck.
Oh, but her high school team.
Oh, hold on.
They won a game tonight.
So one intern, we play their team this weekend, and then the other intern, we might see their team in the playoffs.
Yes.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes.
It's okay. Y'all be okay.
Yeah, we need new interns.
They gonna cry in the car. They gonna cry in the car.
Oh man, but yeah, man, it's like it's just crazy because like you see all these teams and you see how they're playing and you're wondering like, what's gonna really happen when it boils down to it. And you get a team like Denver with a quarterback like Russ, and you're thinking, okay, now they've brought in Sean Payton. What's up, Sloan? And you're thinking like, okay, now they're going to take off.
Right. And they don't.
And then they don't. And then they look like they're about to get something going.
And then they don't.
And then they stop. And then it's like, all right, we got to get off the pot. Fish or cut bait. Like, all right, it's time to cut bait. Like, let's move on. It's a business decision. So all the people getting all up in their feelings about it, like, get over it because it's a business decision. And you can try to compare his numbers to Patrick Mahomes all you want. And Russ, you can like that post all you want. But the bottom line is when you come into an organization and you do the things you do and say the things that you say and you're about all this change and this rah-rah stuff, and then you don't deliver on the field. And sure, you had Nathaniel Hackett last year, but you had Sean Payton this year.
Right.
And you were pretty good at some points, but you still weren't cutting the mustard. So at some point, they have to be like, okay, where do we see ourselves going if we keep this guy? Okay, well, what can we do if we get rid of this guy? So it's like if I see my future better off short and long term if I get rid of you and I just take this big massive cap hit and pay you off and just be done with you, as opposed to trying to keep you and work with you, that tells me, and you're having the type of season you're having, putting up the numbers you're putting up or whatever, however the Russ defenders try to say, that tells me that there's more to it than just what we're seeing with our eyes on the field and on these stats and whatnot. There's things going on behind the scenes that must be contributing to the disintegration of this relationship, because there's no way that a guy is supposedly that good. And this team was what? Where are the Broncos at? It's 7-8. You're in the mix for one of those last playoff spots. If a few things change here and there for your team, you're on the fringes of competing for a playoff spot if some things are changed. and they're really willing to take the largest dead money cap hit in NFL history to get rid of you and move
Just to
on.
get rid of you says a lot.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. People just trust and believe. Like the stories have been out there about him with the own office and the don't talk to me, and you got to talk to my, my publicist and all that to get a hold of me. They didn't have his phone number to call him directly in Seattle. Like all of this stuff has been out there for the last few years. So unless you've been hiding under a rock or purposefully not paying attention, like the signs have been on the wall. All the corny jokes and all that simping, with Sierra and all that to the side, like Russ as a football player and a teammate has been called into question for a very long time. And now I guess it's gotten to the point where, there's another team that's evidently had enough of him and are willing to go through unbelievable measures to get rid of him. So I'm just saying it can't always be everybody else. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror.
Yeah, and this is 2 teams in a row because you wanted out of you for whatever reason. You wanted out of Seattle. You get traded to the Broncos. Broncos ain't give up too much to get you. I still think Noah Fant was a very key tight end. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
tight ends are so key,
very
so key
valuable.
to your success. And giving up Noah Fant was a no in my opinion. But even without that the makeup of that team is still really dope. A lot of injuries
Yeah,
in year
they
one.
got some injuries.
But even in year 2, it hasn't been that injury prone. They bring in a high level head coach and Sean Payton because they believe in you and they said Hackett was the problem. Cool. We gonna hack it and we gonna get we gonna bring in Payton. So what's the problem? He'll
Well,
be in he'll be in Washington next year.
I think
He'll be a commander.
Washington, Atlanta, Minnesota.
I like him in Atlanta. With that O line, they don't have a bad line.
I think one of those teams would pick him up. Especially because if you think about it, like Minnesota won't have a bad enough record to draft one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, so they'd have to go with, somebody else.
With a veteran.
Yeah, I think that they may, opt for the veteran route because
like
they were
that, though.
just in the
With that
playoffs
team,
recently.
Yeah, that O line now that O line is ready with the running game that they have with Madison, with Addison, with Jettas, with
Yes,
Hawkinson, who went down this weekend with a
bro.
season-ending injury.
When I saw that hit to his knee, I was like, "Ooh, that looked kind of bad." But then he popped right back up.
Adrenaline.
So you're thinking he's gonna be fine, man.
Adrenaline in my
In my
soul.
soul.
That's what happened. That's exactly it. Was adrenaline in that man's soul. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. He channeled some Cody Rhodes, and
and I watched that replay in slow motion and in real time, and I'm still like, how the hell did he tear up his knee on that play and like just pop right back up like he did? It was crazy.
ACL, MCL.
I think it was just ACL and MCL.
Also.
If it was the PCL,
way,
that's even worse because that's I want to say the ligament on the outside of the knee, and that's the one that lessens your chance of a full recovery. I know because my little cousin, he tore his up. He was offensive defensive lineman. He tore his up towards the end of his senior year in high school. And I think it was a D2 or D3 school that had offered him a scholarship in Arkansas. Pulled the scholarship. Yeah.
Damn.
That's some shady shit. But I remember his mom was telling me, she was like, look, she was like, when they told me about the PCL and how much that lowered his chances, I was really scared and everything for him. But, he wasn't worried about it. You know how little Mike is. And I was like, yeah, he just like his daddy, but that PCL, I learned, and I knew this before, but just seeing him go through that process, surgery, rehab, and all of that. And then one of my other cousins, he's a little bit older than me. He's gone through the reconstructive knee surgery and stuff like that a couple times. And he was like, yeah, that when he said when you tear that PCL along with the ACL and stuff, he was like, it's way worse. He's like, I'd rather just tear my ACL again than to ever tear my PCL once. And when he said that, I was like, oh my God.
Anything that got to do with the knee, man. Any of it is,
bro.
And I've been there. It's horrible.
The only one I think that rivals that, he told me, was the Achilles. And he sent me pictures of that one. Oh, brother.
I watched all the Kobe documentaries.
Good brother.
Especially which one was it? The one where they were the Muse. I think it's the Muse one where they were talking about his recovery when he I think it was the Muse.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And that's the one I was just like, when I seen him rehabbing, like you pretty much are like walking is
it's so, and that's why I like seeing Aaron Rodgers like walk even with assistance and then walk without assistance, even limping, just to see him, that quickly post surgery of Achilles is amazing, because when I still can like vividly picture like the back of my cousin's leg opened up from his heel to up to his calf, basically almost. And, when you see that thick of a ligament just like rip the shreds, and how they have to pull it and sew all of that back together, and then sew everything else back up and sew all of it back together. And then you got to think about it. Okay, now that they've actually sewn all this flesh and ligaments and tendon and muscle and shit back together, this shit gotta heal. And not only does this shit have to heal, now you have to learn how to walk on it and run on it and cut on it again. Like,
and that last one right there, that's the biggest part for a lot of athletes. No matter what sport you play, there basketball, there's cuts. Football, soccer, baseball.
I you got to be able to plant. The worst to me.
And that plant.
To me, one of the worst sports to have to try to come back from that type of injury would have to be either ice skating or ice hockey. Because you got to think about it. When you're ice skating and skating for hockey, look at where you're pushing off at to skate. That is all foot and ankle action. True. Foot and ankle action. So
that's true.
It's insane the amount of punishment and everything that these athletes put their bodies through, and then to have an injury and then have to go through surgery on top of that. And then you got people like us out here like, oh, this guy's a bum. And this is why they get so pissy and they get in y'all mentions and they fight back on Twitter and they have burner accounts and shit. Because like, I know I may be critical, highly critical of some of these pro athletes and whatnot, but at the same time, I know what they put their bodies through. You know what I'm saying? And I know what those aches and pains and things like that feel like. I may not know it to that level that they experience, but nah, I'm like, Ahun ain't been the same since he fucked his up. Bruh, like, trust me, I know.
Like I said, soccer the same. You got to be able to make those cuts, those pivots, everything. You got to be able to plant well.
In soccer, they're on their feet the whole entire fucking time. Like, you don't get a break. Yeah, you don't get a break. It's not like you just be like, hey, nigga, timeout, TV timeout, whatever. No.
Even for they keep playing through TV timeout.
Yes.
Even through the they don't have
TV. They have picture-in-picture commercials in soccer. Like, you don't get that shit. you don't get them TV timeouts and
not until halftime.
Gatorade and chill for a second. You don't get that
until the half. You definitely have to like learn to stay hydrated, because there's no time, there's no subs. Because in soccer, of course, if you get subbed out, you're out the game altogether. Right. You're done for the day. So there's no, you have to be able to go a whole half with no drink, no nothing. Halftime, rehydrate yourself to go the entire second half, nonstop.
And when we talk about like conditioning and whatnot, I think NBA athletes are some of the best conditioned athletes on the planet.
I believe so.
Because to run up and down that 94 by 53 court up and down the court. I know there's breaks and timeouts and shit like that in the game, but just like the amount of stress that they put on their bodies is unbelievable. Looking at the NBA right now and just basketball in general, because I mean we got a bunch of other stuff that we can get into with basketball, because I know we got some college basketball, a couple of college basketball, mainly women's, that we wanted to touch on real quick. But one of the biggest things going on right now in the NBA that people, I mean, I'm hearing some people talk about, but not really many people are paying attention to, but was that Mark Cuban, the sale of that large stake that he had in the Mavericks was actually finalized today.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So the numbers were kind of like worked out, or I forgot what the original numbers were.
What it was it says the purchase is at a valuation in excess of $4 billion. Mark Cuban says nothing's really changing except my bank account. I feel really good. I think it's a great partnership. It's what the team needs on the court and off.
Because he still owns the team and it brings more money in.
He still owns a portion of the team. He says I'll still be overseeing the basketball side of it, but having a partner like Patrick and Sivian and Miriam and their ability to build and to redevelop the arena and whatever comes next beyond that just puts us in a much better position to compete. That's all. That's what it comes down to.
And a lot of times it is. Sometimes you have to give up that majority stake for it, but I mean, he still has a nice.
It says he still maintains a 27% stake of the Mavericks ownership, and will serve as the team's alternate governor. So the Adelson group, they'll have their primary governor, and then he'll be like the backup dude, basically. So that was one of the bigger things that's going on in the NBA that just literally happened today as well. One of the other crazier things was came out that Aaron Gordon got 21 stitches from some dog bite, bro.
From a dog bite. I was like, what? Bruh. Who dog was it? Couldn't have been his.
I don't know, man. But like, I've heard of people being attacked by their own dogs. But it's always, to me, seemed like it came from a situation of you were probably abusing that dog, and then that dog fought back. Or, like, you know, the dog's like instinct kicked in and you did something that kind of made that dog want to defend itself and it attacked you. It didn't really want to, but like, it's still a wild animal. Their instincts are still going to kick in, even though that's your supposed best friend or your pet, your kid, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's still an animal. They still have instincts. So you have to be careful. It says he's in good condition, but will remain away from the team. There is no concrete timeline for his return, but there's optimism that his presence will be short term. Source told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Man, it's just
that whole thing was weird.
And it was a family dog. It was a family dog. It doesn't say whether or not it was his or whose. It just says a family dog.
Yeah, when I seen the story earlier, I was like, "Oh, that's some freak accident shit too." Because he and then he just had a crazy game on Christmas Day, so for that to like happen right after that is like wild.
Yeah, man, it's sad, but I mean, the good thing is like it wasn't like, you know, life threatening or season ending, career ending or anything like that. So that was still good. The Pistons.
The Pistons. Bro, let me tell you something funny. Right before we got on, I was looking up tickets because I was like, hold on, the Wizards suck. The Pistons suck. When do they play again? I know I can give me some floor. I know I can give me some floor seats for like the low.
Bro, the way you said it, he said Pistons suck. The Wizards suck. Probably give me some cheap floor seats. Oh my God. Yeah. Bro, 27 in a row in one season though. Like, how do you do that? And I mean, you were talking about it uh last night or yesterday or whatever, and you were like, they were in a lot of those games. That was the crazy thing, was the fact that they were in some of those games and whatnot, and they still could not like just pull it out. Um, I just remember like looking at the game and stuff and the highlights of the game from last night, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna pull this one out, and it was like, nope, they ain't got it in them, big dog. They ain't got it in them, and they end up losing that game to the Nets, 118-112. Cade Cunningham had a game. I mean, Cade went off for, I'm pulling it up right now. I know he had 41. It was like 15 of 21 shooting. Yeah, 41 points on 15 to 21 shooting. He had 9 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. Only 3 turnovers, only 4 fouls committed. Now, one of the crazier stats about that game was as bad of a, as badass of a stat line as I just read off of Cade Cunningham. He didn't even lead the team in plus minus. He was only +5 in his plus minus rating, whereas center, I believe it's Isaiah Stewart, had +12, and point guard Jaden Ivey was +12 as well. Jalen Duren, the rookie, I believe he's from Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Jaden Duren was +8. So you had all those guys who had a better plus minus rating, according to ESPN.com, as opposed to Cade Cunningham, who went off for like a stupid stat line, especially for a guy who's only been in the league a couple years. But the Pistons are up to a 27-game losing streak in one season. They are now 2-28. They are 1-14 at home and 1-14 on the road. So at least they're symmetric. But outside of that, man, like in basketball, we wanted to touch and hit on LSU's coach Kim Mulkey deciding to hold a game with LSU at Coppin State. The significance of this has multiple layers to it. Number one, Coppin State is located in the Baltimore area where Angel Reese is from. Number two, Coppin State is an HBCU. To hold a game in your star player's hometown is one thing, but to hold it in your star player's hometown at an HBCU so that way they get a for sure sellout, that was something special that Kim Mulkey did. And you thinking, okay, she's just tipping her hat to her star player. She's playing it up to, the thing, taking advantage of things that's going on, blah, blah, blah. But when she talks about wanting to do this more often, and I believe she spoke about doing it for Southern, who is an HBCU across on the other side of, the highway there from LSU in Baton Rouge.
And giving the proceeds to them from the game too. That's the other big part. To help with NIL and stuff like that, being able to recruit better and
exactly.
I love the whole thing.
To help pull those programs up, and that's what I love about the game of women's basketball and women's sports. Like there are certain women and men too, for example. But I love it when like they're using their clout for some sort of good. I love it when pro athletes, entertainers, and people like that, like they use their position to try to like help someone else out in a similar situation or a lesser situation. And basically what Kim Mulkey is doing is like, you know what? I have these star players and star athletes. I have this position. Let me help them and put them in position to help others, and let us all as a program come together and help and better others. And it just, it to me, it also is going to call some of these other star players, coaches, athletes, programs, what have you, into questioning, like, why can't some of y'all do the same thing that we're doing? And hopefully at least shame some of them into doing some of similar type of things. But I remember when we talked about that, and I saw you wrote it in the rundown. I was looking to write something else, or I was checking it for something else, and I saw you wrote that in there, and I was like, "Oh, damn! I'm glad he put this in there because I forgot to put it in there."
Yeah, when I seen the story and I was watching ESPN when I seen it too, and on the Twitter or the X, uh, for the young folk.
Twitter.
I love the story though, because like you said, it shows how much she wants to just not just grow, the big league, but she wants to bring the little guy up. And the fact that it's not one of us doing it, I mean, which means nothing at all personally, but I love it because everything you hear about Kim Mulkey is she's for the people. She's for the growth of basketball. She's for the growth of women's basketball. She's for the growth of just the sport in general, and I love it. And everybody has always spoken so highly of her. I don't think I've ever seen anything bad being spoken about Kim Mulkey at all.
Like, I've seen some things being spoken bad about her, but not like
Normal coach stuff, I would guess.
it's some stuff like that. There's been some some stuff that she did kind of at Baylor.
Okay.
Um some things with her, Brittany Griner, and it's just a lot. But I'm just glad that she took the time out to do what she did and to like help prop up another program and help prop up some people that are less fortunate than her. Um,
And the fact that she wants to continue doing this going forward every
right,
season,
right. That's
scheduling,
what.
because it's not about win or loss. It's not about, of course, we know LSU is a powerhouse. They're going to blow whoever out, but it's
Right,
not
right.
about that. It's the fact that they're in town. They know they're going to bring X amount of fans to that game, especially again doing it at Coppin State because that's, mostly everybody in B-more came out to see Angel. I know some people from down this way that went up there. They took a
Hmm.
couple coaches took some girl one it was like a couple girls from their teams. Coaches got together and they took their girls up there to watch. It's inspiring for younger girls that are in middle school, high school that's watching them. It's inspiring for a Coppin State to get to be able to play that level of
Hmm.
competition because again, win or loss is just about the growth of the game.
Right. Those girls get some exposure. Um,
Experience against a better team.
right. You just get a whole overall experience and not just the money itself that's made that benefits the program, but it's also about those kids getting that experience. And I heard the same thing about when LSU played Grambling earlier this year at Tiger Stadium.
Okay.
Um, they, they were talking about how those kids get that experience of playing in Tiger Stadium for a night game. Whereas they wouldn't have gotten that experience previously. So it's just it's cool for them to get that experience. Um, but there's just a lot of experiences that pro athletes and whatnot get, and athletes in general get to experience, and things that games and the sports that they play, different places that they can take
Can
you.
take you. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause even in
One of
college, playing your preseason games, a lot of they're going overseas now. They're going I mean, they've been going overseas, but, like, even more now. They're doing Japan
Right.
tours, they're doing European tours,
There's always
Italian
been the
tours.
stuff in like the Bahamas, the Caribbean, and different stuff
Mhm.
like that, like
Hawaii,
Hawaii, Mexico, sometimes Canada. There's
China.
even been the ones on the aircraft carriers and whatnot, like special attraction type of things.
Mhm.
Um, you've had Notre Dame play football games in Ireland.
Yep.
Um, so there's a lot of like international stuff. as well as there's other sports that like travel and do the global things, such as boxing.
Beautiful segue.
Thank you. I'm kind of a professional, kind of, sort of, but just a little bit. But we had an international boxing event that took place this past Saturday,
which it also seems like with the ending of Showtime boxing, is looking like boxing is headed towards the Prince is really jumping in on boxing right now. He's capitalizing off of Showtime and nobody in America really like having anywhere to show it, and which is dope, very dope. Uh, but big heavyweight fights this weekend. Big heavyweight fights.
And it's crazy because like that heavyweight card was setting up to be something really special. And the two headliners were Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua.
One went exactly, I'd say how it should have went, and the other one was very surprising.
And the thing about it is, I think the thing that made it so surprising.
Again, was it surprising?
Well,
if you look at his last couple fights, outside of the last one, there was a 1-round knockout. Outside of that one, was it a surprise?
And see, that's where I struggle at, because I don't know if it was actually a surprise. Because when, like you said, when you look at his he's a puncher. He's not a boxer.
Yep.
There's a difference.
Yep. He's a street fighter.
And when you get a guy who's a puncher,
his footwork is horrible. But we'll get into it.
Who comes across a boxer, you get a guy who's not as how should I put it? Oh shit. The contrast in styles make a fight. But when you have that great of a contrast and that great of a skill difference, that's when you see what you end up seeing, what we saw with Joseph Parker and Deontay Wilder on Saturday. You got a guy who is not that skilled, just to be perfectly honest. He doesn't have those kind of skills, offensively or defensively. He just has a really big, heavy-handed right hand. Sometimes that left.
Oh, go ahead.
Sometimes that left will get you, but it's mainly that big right hand that's his biggest weapon.
And he didn't even throw it. He didn't even throw it the entire fight. He was on defense running.
Exactly. And that's what I was getting ready to. He spent most of the fight backpedaling. You would think that he was playing corner or safety in the NFL as opposed to being a professional boxer.
And I understood it in the first couple of rounds because I was like, all right, maybe the first 2 to 3, he's filling it out. Them championship rounds, 10 to 12, I was like 9 to 12. I was like, all right, he's going. And he turned it up. He did. He did turn it up a little, not enough. But he turned it up in those later rounds. And I'm like, okay, good. And then it was nothing. And I'm like, there's no way you thought you were going to win this, bro. Like, that man beat you the entire fight, every round. I think Deontay may have won one round. May have. Not even 100% sure. But he got his ass whooped every round. That wasn't even the best fight. Hell, the Anthony Joshua fight wasn't even the best fight because Joshua knocked dude down.
He KO'd him in the 5th round.
KO'd him. He TKO because dude corner said, "Nah, we good."
Yeah, I think that Bivol fight.
Miller, I was gonna say the Miller. No, the Bivol fight won't good either because he dominated too. I think the Miller
he really
and Du Bois fight was the one that was like a good back and forth. And I remember saying it in our group chat. I said, if this fight goes the distance, it's in Miller's favor because. No, I'm sorry, in Du Bois' favor, because Miller being the bigger guy, I think he was 333. He's not built, and he's never been built for long period fight, like long fights. If he doesn't get you knocked out within the first 3 to 4, anything past that, even though it did go 12, and Miller surprised me that he hung in there. He hung in there till 12, and then Dubois knocked him out. I'm sorry, Dubois knocked him out.
Yeah,
Which was crazy. With like 10 seconds of he knocked him out, I was like, damn,
bro. And I missed that one because I was still running around and doing some stuff and whatnot. And I was trying to follow it through y'all until I could get back to the house and then put the fights on and stuff when I got in the kitchen and everything. So by the time I started, like, cooking some stuff or finished shopping and doing the couple of little things that I had left to do, like I could sit down and actually watch the fights and everything. And the Bivol fight, I caught that one towards the middle, maybe or so. I watched some of that, but then after watching Wilder get just beat up, and I saw Joshua was like just beating up on Wallen, I was just like, man, I'm turning this off. Like, it's no reason for me to watch this no more.
Joshua still wants to fight Deontay.
Because he knows
now he knows he's seen the formula up close and personal now.
Exactly.
It's different when I'm watching film on you, but now I'm there.
Bro, I'm in the arena. You know we talked about this long time ago.
I would hope Deontay would fight Anthony Joshua different. I would hope. I would hope he would look at him the same way he looked at Fury and let his hands fly a little more.
Bro.
But the one thing I hate about Deontay, his footwork is horrible.
It's still bad. After all this time.
If you want to be honest, his hands are horrible. He fights like this. Like he's walking up on you like this.
Yes.
There's no stance.
Yes.
He's like this. His hands are right here, and he swings from this.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? And I hate his trainer. I hate his trainer so much.
Like
that nigga so worried about the porn star wife, or I think they're married now.
Oh my God.
Former porn star wife, because I don't think she does porn anymore. I'm pretty sure he took her off the set. You
can't make a whole housewife.
I like her movies though.
Oh my God, this guy. But like everybody says, he shouldn't have moved from the other trainer. He should have kept the trainer.
He's been downhill since he's been with dude.
That's what I'm saying. Dude
won't even that good of a boxer himself. How the fuck you gonna train somebody?
Hey, is that salsa? Check that salsa that I made and see if it's still good. The one that's in the back on the bottom shelf.
Man's gonna train somebody and can't win a fight himself. It's wild. It's crazy.
Yeah, I made that from scratch myself. Like, side note, I made, like, I think I had posted it on Instagram and stuff like a while back, like a couple. I can't remember, but I had made some like homemade salsa. It's spicy as fuck. So I'm having my daughter try it with her chips. She about to try it right now. It's not spicy no more? It was spicy when I first made it. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's not spicy no more since I've been sitting in the fridge. Is it good though? Okay, cool. As long as it's still good.
And a little hot sauce to it.
Hey, put some of that. If you use the cayenne pepper, put a little bit. But if you use the chili flakes, put more. Now she over there choking. And then hit the back. Yeah.
I heard that.
She put it in the fridge. She going back upstairs.
Caught her.
But no, man, like we talked about this, how he holds his hands and how he sways kind of back and forth, but he don't move his feet. Like, we've talked about this before with Deontay Wilder, and he has not like changed or grown his skills. And the comp I have for him, and I know some people are going to see this and relate to this, is Dwight Howard. He's Dwight Howard. He's the exact same guy he was when he first came into the league. He'd been in the league MVP, defensive player of the year, and all this kind of stuff. Led a team to a finals. You had accomplishments and you've done things and you have skins on the wall, but you have not grown or evolved since you first got here. And when you don't grow and evolve as a fighter, people already got film on you. They see what you do best. They see what you are not good at.
You're a knockout artist. You've always been a knockout artist, and that's all you are. You're a one-trick pony.
That's it.
He's been a one-trick champion. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's what Mike Tyson was until Mike Tyson had got skill. Mike Tyson in the beginning was a knockout artist. His fights ain't last long. I remember the whole thing was, if you order a Mike Tyson fight, you're stupid as hell because it's only going 5 seconds.
But this is the thing though, and this is where I'll buck back on that. The reason why I buck back on that is because Mike did have skill.
Oh no, he definitely had skill.
Mike chose to dispatch his opponents more quickly, as opposed to standing in there fighting. And by the time Mike really needed to get back into his bag, I'll say, because he always had the bag, he just didn't have to go in it very often because he was so much better than everybody else. But by the time Mike got into a point where he really had to get into his bag, it was because he was his own worst enemy. And the people around him weren't attentive to him and allowed him to fall off. And Mike could have been one of the greatest stories in boxing history. Still ended up as one of them, but he could have been the greatest story in boxing history and fell off because he couldn't stay out of his own way. It is what it is. But speaking of people that can't stay out of their own way,
stupid ass Devin Haney.
How
did I know you were going there? That's crazy.
I wasn't even going there. I was going somewhere else.
Oh, where were you going? We can go to Devin later. Fuck him. He be running. Boy got on skates. But we ain't gonna talk about that right now.
We could talk about that another time. But people that can't stay out of their own way, and we specifically had this set up for debate because it feels like you and I are falling on two opposite ends of this, and we chose to let's save it for the pod. Pivoting back to basketball, but someone who can't stay out of his own way, Ja Morant. And the thing is like Ja, he messed up once and did something really stupid. It was not illegal. So let's get that part out the way. It was kind of illegal because there are certain laws that he did break that he got off on easily. But anyway, let's not get into the weeds. He did something stupid. It wasn't totally illegal, kind of illegal. He got punished. Okay. Supposedly learned his lesson. Shortly thereafter, he does something stupid yet again. League steps in. They have to discipline him yet again. This time, they're a hell of a lot more heavy-handed. Mind you, they could have been even more heavy-handed than what they were. But they weren't. They were heavy-handed enough to the tune of a 25-game suspension, mandatory counseling, blah, 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 blah. Other night, Ja finally comes back, plays the Pelicans, boom. Pelicans blow another 10-plus point lead. Ja leads back, game winner at the buzzer. Last night, played the Pelicans again in New Orleans again. Pelicans blow another lead again. Grizzlies in overtime. Ja helps them win it at the end of overtime.
4 games in a row since he's been back.
Averaging 28.
Hey, we talked about this after the first one.
The boy got skills. He was tired as hell. He needs to get into basketball shape, but he's still only 24 years old and still got
Marcus Smart is back too.
Smart just came back. Did he come back? Was it last night or is
I
he
think it was
back?
the New Orleans game. I think the New Orleans game was his first one back. I
I
think.
Let me look it up right quick because I honestly can't remember.
Either way, he's back, and that's key for them too. I think with Denver, with the West, I ain't gonna just. I'm not gonna particularly go to the top because, like I said, they're at the bottom and they got to fight their way back in.
Mhm.
I think he didn't. He came back at a good point where he can help contribute to that team, and they can still make a push. They're gonna lose some games, of course.
Yeah, Smart
They're
played
not gonna.
29 minutes last night.
Okay, which is a lot on a comeback first game of the
Mhm.
season.
Mhm.
Um, but I think with them two, with what they have, they didn't lose. Only thing they lost was Dylan Brooks, and they added Marcus Smart to take Dylan Brooks' place in a sense,
Mhm.
uh, which is a huge upgrade in my personal opinion. Um, very huge, a major upgrade actually. Um, they can make some noise in that West. I don't know if it's a deep playoff run noise, and it could be by the end of the season or by that point in the season where they've meshed and gelled together in the right way. And that team is young, they're very talented. They can make a really good push in the West. They could
They
potentially.
could. My only issue is that they are so far back right now that it's going to be a real uphill battle for them
Definitely not
to really
unachievable,
climb
but
back in it cuz right now they're 10 and 19.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
They're 4.5 games out of the 10 spot in the
Okay,
West.
not bad. It's not bad.
The
Plenty
current
of
10
basketball
spot
left.
in the West, the Phoenix Suns.
And Phoenix is Phoenixing. So there's that. Which is crazy.
Um,
That Phoenix team is 10. But hold
mhm.
on, let's get back to Ja for a second. We'll go there too.
Right.
Okay, so
We
like
got time.
the whole thing with Ja, right?
Hmm.
And I don't even want to use anybody else of them doing the exact same dance. I'm not gonna mention the T Higgins or anybody else who
Hmm.
did it this past weekend
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
again, the focus that everybody has been on Ja because it's a dance that involves pointing air guns in an
Hmm.
air bazooka. It is a dance. It's a popular dance that is very popular. I forgot the name of it, but it's very popular in New Orleans right now. I've seen the videos online prior to Ja doing it, and then Ja did it in New Orleans. It made sense why he did it, but the outrage is because it's Ja because of everything that's went on with him from last season to this season, and a lot of people like Jermaine feel like it was a bad choice of doing it, but I mean, there was no league outrage behind it. It's just media outrage, which we're media, but media outrage, we're gonna have that. It gives us something to talk about and clickbait and all of that, which is perfectly fine for us. I mean, I feel like it was an innocent dance, very popular dance right now. He did it in New Orleans. I feel like if he had did it if he had did that particular dance anywhere else, like in another city, I could almost see the outrage, but because of the timing of him doing it in New Orleans, I'm like, he was playing to the fans, which they loved it.
Hmm.
Fans loved it. He was playing more off to them than anything, being a little disrespectful to the Pelicans at the same time, which I love. It's always dope to do that to a rival team. Um, but there was no league outrage behind it, and I feel like if there's no league outrage, then it's nothing for us to talk about. It's different if Adam Silver is like, hey, Ja. And he may have said something, and Job may have been able to explain it to him. Adam
Hmm.
Silver's an old white man, so you got to break it down to him a little bit. Hey, here's a video. This is what's going on. This is popular right now. We were in New Orleans. It's very easy to break it down to him, so there's no issues and no problem. And Adam's like, you know what? Okay, I get it. You're young. It ain't. I can police you to a certain extent, but something like that is like, all right, cool. It's a dance. It's a dance. It's a popular dance in New Orleans. You did it in New Orleans. Had it been in another NBA city, we might and that's a strong might have something to talk about. But I feel like it's media outrage from what I've seen, and I know you're gonna hate this part. It's old nigga outrage. It's old nigga outrage, man. That's because that's all I seen. Not you, but even the older, the guy, the 50s, 60s, I've seen
Mm-hmm.
them upset and pissed about it. And I'm like, it's because you don't get it. You don't dance. Not you, but them. They don't dance.
Right.
They
Right.
barely two step. Barely two
Right.
step. You don't look your age, so it's fine. But that's what it was. Though. And I'm like, he just was having fun on his comeback. Let that man stop making him a
Right.
headline. Stop micromanaging everything the young boy do. He young. He a young boy.
And and this is where I come in with my rebuttal.
Go right ahead.
Because like I got told this one guy earlier on Twitter, and I'll get to that later.
That's why I called you old nigga. That's exactly why I said it.
You know, it's like, hey, I don't. Sometimes I am, get off my lawn guy, and it took me a while to warm up to like certain way the game is played now in basketball, and certain things they do in football now, and certain analytics and stuff like that. Excuse me, even in baseball or whatever. It just taking me a while to get used to some shit, but it's like some shit like I just take to immediately. Like there's some people who don't like a lot of high spots and what they call flippy shit in wrestling, and I happen to like high spots and flippy shit in wrestling. If it's done right, it's done right. If it's overkill, it's overkill, but it's still entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is like you got to look at the optics and the way things look at perception, and perception isn't always reality, and that's where I think people get things twisted is because they think it's just this to you is just that, but to other people it may not be just this. And so you have to have more of a global 360 view of things than just put on your blinders and like I'm just looking here. And that's that's more or less leading kind of into what my rant is for this week. But it's like you can't be so one track minded to think that, well, why are you doing this? And this should be okay and this should be fine. And it's like in a vacuum, yeah, some of that stuff is probably totally cool. It's probably okay. There's no issue with it at all. But like I was telling the guy earlier, the people that you named are horrible examples simply because none of them have been suspended, arrested, investigated, placed on trial, or anything like that for anything involving a gun, flashing a gun, or assault, or anything like that. We just saw footage of Ja in a courtroom, and it wasn't even anything to do with the gun incidents. It was because he allegedly assaulted a teenage kid over a pickup basketball game.
Which was an old case from like before, of course. They're just now going to court.
No, but I'm just saying it's old and the case happened whenever, but it still speaks to the character of the person behind these actions. So all of that fits into the public perception. That shit could have happened, 5 years ago, and the trial is just now happening. It still fits into the perception that you're this, off the hinges knucklehead who's just going around willy-nilly flashing guns and hitting people. Like if people who don't really know you and know your story and your background and where you came from and all of this and that, and if people don't know that and they just look at you in a vacuum of your celebrity, what image of you do they have other than this guy who's off the rails? Those are some of the same people who are going to buy and support the companies and products that they're going to pay you to push for your name, image, and likeness. If those people have a negative viewpoint of you, those companies can't have you as a pitch man. You're not getting paid as much. If you're no longer as marketable, then and you're just a basketball player, quote unquote, then you start to fail to be an asset to the league that you're in. And if you keep causing enough of those problems and issues, well, then now the league that you're in is going to feel like, well, we got to sit your ass down, which is exactly what already happened. All I'm trying to say is you have to be careful and you have to craft an image and you have to be protective of said image if you want to best take advantage of what you have to offer as far as your skill and your celebrity. You can better do that when you keep yourself out of trouble. When you get yourself in trouble, the best thing is to repent, go on the PR tour, and keep everything clean. You have to keep your nose clean. You can't fall off. You can't relapse. You can't have any of those issues, hiccups, and other, because you've already kind of soiled or sullied your reputation. When you've already done something like that, and then you add on top of that, like I'm coming back from suspension, I'm balling out, everybody's having a good time, I kept the receipts, all that's going on, and then you do a celebration mimicking a gun motion when you've gotten in trouble for guns, it's just not the smartest thing to do. It just ain't. But I mean, hey, what do I know? I'm just an old nigga on a podcast.
I was waiting for him to say that shit. No, but I definitely, from a business standpoint, I definitely understand what you're saying though. It optics, it can be perceived the wrong way, but I think like today, once everything was explained of what was like, social media is a gift and a curse, of course. I think today it was a good gift just because while Ja was also tweeting, like everybody else kind of was like, I mean, hey, it was a dance. Here's the dance. This is what, you know what I mean? This is why he did that. This is kind of showing other people, other sports stars that were doing it also all weekend. So I guess you could look at it, even though the gritty doesn't have, yeah, it doesn't have gun emotions, but in a sense, the same thing. Like, something popular that everybody was doing. But I also understand what you're saying about the optics of it being Ja. Like I said, everything about Ja right now is under a microscope. That man could tie his shoe in a way that makes it look like he put a gun up while he was tying his shoe, and people gonna zoom in and be like, "Look, you put a gun up.
Look,
Put a gun up."
Sloan said it perfectly. We had to explain to whites and old blacks. Like,
And
when you gotta explain shit,
we should not. Hey man, you always gonna have to explain to whites and old blacks though.
But this is what I'm saying though.
We
like,
about to be old.
If he was just doing any other dance and it didn't mimic a gun motion, you're still explaining, but you're just like, oh, that's this dance or from this song or TikTok.
But I also think if it wasn't a current popular one, I feel like that's where the issue may be in. I think it's easier to explain just because it's a current, right now, popular thing in New Orleans. And he was in New Orleans. I think it's easier to explain and easier to be like, hey, this is why it was done. And it'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I don't think there's much of an outrage from, the league and from sponsors. And regardless that it's Ja, I don't think there's much of an outrage when it's, even though he shouldn't have to explain, he does have to explain right now. But it's an easy thing to explain. It's an easy thing to go into a meeting with whoever may have said something today and been like, hey.
And you know what I would do? I'm sitting on the other side of the desk and you trying to, you come to me with that explanation. I'm not even about to come to you at old nigga thing. I'm going to come at you from somebody who grew up there, as somebody who's seen what gun violence has done to people in that city and seen what it's done to my own personal family. And you're going to sit up here and tell me you was just doing a dance that mimicked a gun motion because you were in New Orleans? Bro,
did you watch the whole dance?
It don't even matter.
I'm just asking.
Because it's yeah, I seen it all.
Okay.
But this is my thing. You can't sit up here and tell that to somebody like me and try to explain that away to me and think that I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay, fuck it. You just do it. Nah. Because the thing is where did it come from? Where's the culture and the history behind it? There's more of a meaning behind it than just it's just this. And it's like you bottom line, you did something stupid involving a gun and you mimicked something that looked like a gun motion. Like that's not the smartest thing to do. For example, Brandon Miller, rookie for the Charlotte Hornets, last year when he was involved in bringing a teammate his gun, and the teammate used his gun to kill somebody. He comes back from being suspension investigation away from the team and does a pat down thing in the pregame lineup.
I remember.
Like, bro, seriously. Like seriously, like come on, use your brain. You use your brain. Like that. That's all I'm saying. Like any other athlete does this.
Hey, though, I hate that I have the chat right here because I see it right when it pops up. I hate Sloan.
See,
I hate Sloan so goddamn much, bro. This
bro,
is why your
this
ass can't
is
come on no more.
exactly,
This is why you can't come on no more because that shit
exactly.
right fucking there. Nigga said that's a ooh.
You know, like I was saying,
That was a D Wade. That was a D Wade to LeBron.
oh my god,
Hey man, RIP to that young lady. I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's not.
it's really not. But I'm just
Gun
saying,
and domestic
like
violence is not funny, guys. I just want to put that
that
out there.
shit
Also,
really ain't. But it's just the simple fact that you have that type of disregard. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're not thinking about this. It's like you did the first thing and everybody thought, okay, he's learned his lesson. Then you did the second thing, and then you got a bigger suspension. And it's like, okay, he's learned his lesson. And then you do this, and it's like, and then you hear his dad say, well, he still has the same group of friends. But then you hear Josh say, I didn't talk to nobody while I was out but my teammates. Like you
still
hear
having. I mean, I feel like still. I feel like still having the same group of friends, but also during that time, if he only talk, I can believe he only talked to his teammates. But I can also believe that he had a couple niggas around him. I mean, let's be real. You ain't about to be in total seclusion that entire time. Like, and even the friends, as we remember from that very last video, the one that when he was in the car, his homeboy dropped the phone quick and was on his ass. Like, hey, bro, what the fuck is you doing? So
but
he don't have bad people around him.
my thing would be, yeah, you dropped the phone, but you were already on live. Y'all knew there was a gun in the car. Why would he have access to the gun that's in the car? Knowing what he already went through.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, and you know this. We know athletes and people with money. As much as you want to be the no man in that group, the no man gets outcast. The no man gets sent home. So the no man sometimes turns into the yes man or the quiet man because you don't want to get sent home. You trying to stay on the road with everybody else. You trying to have
Right.
fun, enjoy the perks, and you just shut up. And it happens all the time. Like not every celebrity is strong minded enough to handle the no man. That's where the problem comes in. A lot of them can't handle that guy that's like they need it. I feel like every celebrity needs that one person, just one. It'd be great if you had more, but at least just that one person that's like, hey, bro, don't get it to
And
me, dog. Just pass it to me.
the main
Pass that
reason
to
why I'm saying that is because there was certain situations
me.
where
You right, Sloan. It's not.
it's not illegal to have a gun. No, it's not. But
And
when
I'm pretty sure
you're
his is legal, which is why I don't understand the suspensions, which makes me think maybe it isn't legal but then there was no like police presence about it, or like he didn't get like in trouble. So
Well,
it's kind of
here's the thing: if you're not legally licensed or whatever to have the gun in Colorado,
which
which
is
that
where
isn't
he
your home
originally that's
state,
where it started. Yeah, which is
and
where
you're
everything
not
started.
supposed to travel on team sponsored,
And that was the biggest part,
accommodations.
which was the biggest part, and I fully understood that one because I was like, by that point, you got team security. Even if you got your own personal security,
Mhm.
they should be the ones holding, not you.
Right, and
Gilbert
then
Arenas, if you didn't learn from Gilbert Arenas alone,
why are you doing this inside of a strip club? Like you have a gun in a club around
around,
alcohol
around strippers, what you got the gun on
and
the strippers for?
strippers. Like
It ain't
that
nothing but ass.
that
Why you
that
got the
right
gun on
there.
ass?
And
Come
you
on.
have to understand you're a multi-millionaire athlete, former number 2 pick in the NBA draft, one of the future, if not current, faces of the league. Like you have a bigger responsibility than just a normal average citizen. Like if that was me or you, and we're regular people with regular jobs, quote unquote, probably isn't a huge issue with your employer, depending on your job. When you're a multi-million-dollar investment, an employee of a multi-billion-dollar company with as high profile as you are, the rules are different at that level. I'm sorry, it is what it is. And there's shit that people like us could get away with that them dudes can't. It just is what it is. That's life. You trade being normal and being able to go about your everyday life and live how you want to live for being a multimillionaire and being a very famous professional athlete and being able to play a game and make a living. That's generational wealth for you and your family. You get that while I get to go run in Target and buy whatever the hell makeup kit or some shit my daughter needs for school. Like I get to do that, and I get to run to HEB and grocery shop in peace with my AirPods on because I don't want people talking to me, and then I don't recognize my little cousins when they bump into me in the store. Like I get to do that. You don't get to do that. But at the same time, your paycheck and my paycheck in my house and your house, they look way different. Way different.
We are
And
not the same.
we are not the same. So we can't expect to have the same experiences. And that's kind of also part of my rant for this week is that a lot of the times when these celebrities and these athletes get in trouble, we hold them to standards that we hold ourselves to. And we have to understand that they're on a different playing field than what we are.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shit that we can do and get away with that they can't. And there's a lot of shit that they can do and get away with that we can't.
We can't. Yep.
You know, for example, perfect example, if I was pictured with a girl and she was supposedly 15, 16 at the time, like Josh Giddey was, and that was posted on my social media, and I was, maybe even 18, 19, I'd be in jail. The book would be thrown at me, and I would be fighting for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Giddey is still on the NBA roster, still getting paid.
White and foreign.
I'm just saying. We could speak to it in the black community because R. Kelly got away with it for like 30 years.
Boy. In plain sight, too.
I mean, out in the fucking open for everybody to see and everybody knew, and nobody did shit about it.
Our resident Chicagan is in the comments. He can attest to that. In the open, and nobody said shit.
He told us how this shit would go. He said the nigga would pull up in fancy cars and fur coats to high school basketball games.
Parked in the front of the gym.
In the front of the gym, and nobody did nothing about it. So this is what kills me.
What he said, the McDonald's after school?
Yes, bro. Like he remembers this shit because he's seen it happen. He's seen it happen.
That's why they
and this was 20, 30 years ago. So let's stop with that fake
But let's go
outrage.
back. But let's
Like
be
what
real. Let's
happened
go back.
isn't what
Let's go
happened?
back even further than that. You got Elvis.
What?
You got what's the nigga that had the movie made about him? Great Balls of Fire.
Jerry Lee Lewis
Jerry Lee married his cousin. His
didn't
little cousin.
his little cousin.
He was like 13 or 14.
Elvis had relationships with several underage women.
And I believe Lisa Marie's mom was underage when she had her.
I want to say she was 15. I think she was 16 or 17 when she had her. But when they did the deed to conceive her, she was underage. She was underage.
I didn't realize that she just passed away recently. It's crazy,
bro. Like it'd be shit like that.
She's been so far under the radar that
you don't even be knowing. You don't even be knowing. But it's like let's stop with the fake and selective outrage. Like this shit ain't been happening, and people just ain't been talking about it because it's been happening.
Our great grandparents, great grandparents, at least got 10, 15 years between them. I'm not saying it's right. Not condoning it. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying,
we need to stop like acting like if it's now become more prevalent and more known just because it's out there. Okay, that's one thing, but let's stop acting like this is brand new and we need to bring this issue to the forefront and we need to talk about it. We need to find a solution to it. No, this shit been happening. Y'all just now want to talk about it because everybody has a phone in their hand that gives them access to everybody else. And so now when you saying all this shit, it has more legs. But the shit been happening. It's just crazy to me like how some of this stuff ends up playing out and working out and whatnot. But just looking at everything in a vacuum, like things have been crazy. But there's a lot of things that we have that we could be thankful for. And very much so. Like, it's Christmas holiday season. It's our lucky 13 last episode of the year.
Last episode of the damn year.
We just thankful that we made it to 13 episodes. We made it to the end of the year. And we didn't kill each other. Y'all didn't tune us out.
Yeah, man. 2024 is going to be amazing. We got some hot stuff coming.
Yes, we got some things coming where we probably going to get into some debates where we going to really disagree on some stuff.
Yeah, we ain't disagreed on too much yet. It's been friendly.
We've kept it friendly so far. But we got like a list of topics and stuff where we already know we gonna disagree like crazy. So
but I will say, just giving y'all a little insight into 2024. Definitely with us being in different areas, being able to cover a lot of sports in our areas, bringing that to you guys more in 2024.
Yeah, definitely.
Jermaine's always at some game.
Yeah, I'll be trying.
So definitely being able to like bring that to you guys a lot more as far as on the YouTube, uploading the footage that we're able to, because of course, most of the sports, if you have a media pass or anything like that, it's a lot harder to use a lot of the footage from the game when you're there for media.
Yeah, I gotta double check with the Texans media thing because I keep forgetting to check their media guy because like I was there and I got some stuff from D'Amico after his post-game press conference and I think Nico Collins. The audio wasn't that good on the Nico Collins stuff, but the D'Amico stuff had pretty good audio on it. But I got to get with them, Astros and Rockets, just in case I go and cover anything else to see what I can use here. But
I mean, it ain't big, so I can talk about it. I definitely been in contact with the Richmond Kickers here, with the Richmond Flying Squirrels, which is
that's the minor league baseball team.
Giants. Yeah.
Yes, bruh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Minor league
Richmond
baseball is
Kickers
so
is
much fun.
it is. I go to Flying Squirrel games as a fan all the time just to go. Games are
Hmm.
cheap, but it's always a good time. It's fun, great family atmosphere. So um, been in constant email back and forth with them. So closer to the season, a lot of NASCAR stuff coming up between here and North Carolina. I'm excited about that
Yes, that
personally.
that is gonna be, bro.
That
I
one is going to
cannot
be better
wait to get
because
some of
I'm
that.
not going in. I'm technically not going in as media,
Yeah.
so I can definitely use all the footage I get there. But it's
Yes.
going. But
Yes.
2024 is going to be amazing, man. Not just here, across
The
the
whole
whole network.
network, bro. The whole
Sucio
network.
boys. I love what my brothers over there is doing.
Like
Hopefully we
legit,
start
shout
getting
out to
more
A-Hunt
sponsors.
because
Uh,
this jersey that he
Hennessy,
putting together is stupid.
call me. Hennessy, talk to me. Hennessy, what's up?
Uh
I need that Hennessy sponsor me, dog.
Crown.
Call me.
I
We need that too.
legit, I have a blanket
We
made
need
out of
that
your
too.
bags
We
and the
need that too,
material,
big dog.
recycled materials from Crown Royal bags.
Man, I
I
still got
would,
so many Crown Royal shirts from like events we did here.
bruh,
It's crazy.
I
Hats,
still got a bunch
blank.
of bags. I'm a,
I got a banner somewhere. Sha won't let me put
I'm,
it up, but I got a
I'm
banner
a,
somewhere.
I'm gonna send you a picture of it. I used it when I did Sucio Boys a couple of times, but I got that. It's like a couple of little things, but like A Hun is doing these custom jerseys, and he's also about to start customizing shoes. So if you follow us, you follow the network, like I know you have access to it. Like I wanted, hold up, let me pull it up. It's because I know I'll read it wrong. Y'all know how I am about reading, trying to read shit and make sure I read it the right way. I hate when I mess up and it pisses me off. So it's at A_Hun_the Shogun on Twitter. Get at him and he will customize your jerseys, t-shirts, hats, tennis shoes, whatever it is. Just get at him, but he'll give you that. But you're gonna be looking for a lot from Sucio Boys, from Aim High, from the Dre Lags podcast, from a different angle, Four Corners of Commentary, here with us at Sucio Sports, the A-Hun Shogun Soccer Sit Down. There's just a lot coming, and there's a lot more coming from
There's a
everybody on the
couple more
network.
podcasts.
And
There's a few more that might be
there's
in the
a few
works.
more that's being talked about, and like I'm not gonna say
I'll
nothing
say I think 2024 is gonna be big for the guys,
because
man.
I
Definitely.
I don't know if we can say, but I mean it's some shit about to pop off. That's all I can say. And y'all would be wise to stay tuned in and plugged in with everything that's going on.
Please do.
Please shout out and big up to all the sponsors of everybody on the network. There could potentially be and probably will be and most likely is going to be more sponsors and stuff coming in the coming year. So please plug in, tap in, stay tuned with that. Shout out tonight to Black Wrestling for the slick the slick sweatshirt.
I'm about to say, yeah, the wrestling club.
You
We've
got,
been,
bro. I
hey man, we've
still
been
got.
making up
I
these little
gotta
kids
order me
all year.
one.
I need some new ones. I
I've
need a
been
new one.
thinking about ordering the red.
I think I ran
Bro,
this one into the ground.
well, because like I got them ones, the mid ones that's red and black.
Hmm.
But then I also got a pair of the Cherry 11s that will go good with that hoodie right there.
I wear. I mean, I got Hello Red shoes, so I wear them already. But
That's what
definitely,
you
definitely.
them, bruh. That's that hoodie with any pair of Toros
Yep. I
and
want the
some
black one too. I
jeans.
just need to order. I just need to order some more. That's all.
Yeah, I definitely got to order one of those. But
But hey, on top of ordering, if you guys want to throw us any merch that we can wear while we are on our said podcast right here, holla at us.
Like I'm just saying, because
holla at us.
I told Math, I hit
us.
when I hit Math, I was like, hey bro, I need that slick sweatshirt. But I need a 2X and the shit better fit me. And Cuz was like, I got you. He was like, Cuz, don't worry about it. I got you. And I was like, all right, I appreciate you. Thank you for making sure my shit fit me correctly. And but yeah, man, if y'all got some merch, holla at us, get at us, you know, send it to us. We will, trust me, we will be more than happy to shout you out and wear it on the pod multiple episodes. Like, I don't care. I will just wear it just to record, take it off, put it on the hanger, and then put it back on the following Tuesday, Wednesday. So, but as usual, we appreciate y'all for sticking with us. We come to y'all once a week on the pod. We like to go live just to have that extra, you know, interpersonal interaction with y'all, but you can still find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts where you stream from. We're always live on YouTube. You can always pull it up on the YouTubes. We even go live on our Twitter account at Sucio Sportz. That's SUCIOSPORTZ, because we try to be a little bit different. But you can find just Google CDB Multimedia and it will pull up. Click on it, follow it, subscribe, like it, share it, all of that good stuff. But for Keyz, for myself, for everybody else on the network,
episode 13.
Episode 13 was great, and we had a good time and everything.
These first 13 have been amazing. Can't wait for 2024 next week. Episode 14. We're gonna start it with a banger. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. I got a couple days to think about it, but might be a guest. Yeah. Might be my first episode of the year. We might bring the crew back just for the first one.
We might have to.
Back for the first.
We
and
might
it's live.
Have to.
And we're on YouTube now. So
it could get real stupid.
The crew was here when we were just recording. We were pre-recording. Y'all ain't seen Dre on here in a while.
Oh man.
Or Sucio Boys.
The most egregious man on the internet.
Man. That we might do that. We might bring the crew back for next week. We might add in a couple. Who else? I don't know. We might have a couple other people. I don't know.
We might have to rotate something, man. We got to do something. We got to do something.
Might have a lineup for the first one. We should have did that tonight. I feel like we should have ended the year with the team. That was our bad. We won't.
Yeah, we should have, but
we should.
It was, but like it was one of them weeks. Like yesterday, like you wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling good, so it was like, all right, we're just gonna do Wednesday. And then Wednesday, I was worn out. All right.
I was worn out from birthday parties all weekend. Well, birthday party because it was 2 kids, 1 party.
Yeah.
Christmas, putting shit.
Yeah.
I've been tuckered. That Tuesday I couldn't do nothing. Like I'm just like, bruh. Then it's been raining here and it's just been the thing. Today was it was the same. I ain't gonna lie. I know y'all saw me yelling. I barely got through today.
I mean, like, I gotta be like the pioneer to this shit, you know. I was popping that Chris Dow, y'all niggas thought it was beer and shit. You know?
Huh?
Wearing that platinum shit.
Old nigga on the inside, man. I'm an old nigga.
You know, y'all chicks thought it was silver and shit.
This is a special shout out on the outro song. To when people try to come at me on Twitter.
That's a nice motherfucker shit. Bedtime
you some imaginary player ass nigga.
Money. I'm all year money. I'm popping,
because
you ain't gotta count it, it's all live money. I never change money because niggas got strange money. Knocked up, marked up.
And it's like, I don't know why people be coming at me because I'm not coming at y'all. I'm just saying how I feel. And like I said before, I get paid for my opinion when I write. So like I legit get paid for my opinion. Like I can actually say that. And for y'all to come at me and think that I'm just gonna clam up, hold up, man. You shoot, I shoot back. You throw a rock, I'm gonna shoot a pistol. You shoot a pistol, I'm gonna bring you a grenade launcher. You bring a grenade launcher, I'm gonna bring a rocket launcher. You bring a rocket launcher, I'm throwing a nuclear bomb. Like I'm always gonna go one worse than what you willing to go. Because I'm willing to go there. You're not.
When I see him in the street, I don't see none of that. Damn, playboy, what the fuck is the hum ass? Where's all the ice with all the platinum under that? Those ain't Rolex diamonds. What the fuck you done to that? Y'all rapping ass niggas, y'all funny to me. You selling records being you, but still you wanna be me.
You know,
I guess for every buck you make, it's like 100 for me.
Episode 13.
Around thinking you got something on me, but I done did it. And y'all wanna take my flow and run with it. That's cool. I was the first one.
I ain't gonna go too hard.
I'll still
but I still think that somebody else needs to shut the fuck up and
I don't want y'all to get it confused.
Shut up.
How you think you gonna feel, right? Pull up in your 4.0 with your bitch. I pull up at the 4.6 with my bitch. You see that? Bumping some other shit. You know? Some other shit. You probably hop on my dick right there, right in front of your bitch. Ask me some stupid shit like, yo, dog, what's the difference between a 4.0 and a 4.6? Like 30 to 40 grand, cocksucker, beat it.
And on that note, we'll see you niggas next week. Later.
Next year, niggas.
Next year.